This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1176. How appropriate, like 76. It's July 4th week. And this is the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's back home safe. It's Jesse Carey.
Hello. It's touch and go, but I made it.
He's back home safe, but doesn't have his podcast mic again.
That's right.
So,
and my sincerest apologies to the listeners. It's been a lot of summer travel, hauling gear around. Not the places I needed, though. Anyway.
And from Nashville, our managing editor downtown, Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Derek is traveling today. Marty is home sick with a newborn. He's not sick. The newborn's sick. So this is the crew today.
Yeah.
You always say it kind of like, I don't want to say disappointed, but you're always like, well, this is it. And
so this is what we
Emily,
got.
anytime two really cool rappers can't join you, it's a letdown from if the two really cool rappers could join you. You know what I'm saying?
Are you saying that Jesse and I aren't really cool rappers?
And it's particularly a letdown if you're just left with these three.
We have a great show in store for you, despite our disappointment that Marty and Derek can't
Not
join
my
us.
disappointment. I just want to clarify that. I'm thrilled to be here.
We're joined by Alexander Pappas. He was a worship leader with Hillsong Young and Free. And he's going solo these days. And we have an interesting conversation about that transition, about church hurt, about leaving what happened at Hillsong and venturing out on his own and stuff. You don't want to miss that conversation that's coming up later. At the end of the show, we have a very timely game. Summer Blockbuster time right now. It's movie time, right? So we have a game called the Summer Blockbuster Showdown. Emily did not write this game. I compiled a synopsis of multiple popular movies. And you guys will have to guess what movie I'm describing based on its plot.
Done. Yeah.
You've seen more movies than I realize, though. Like, you go deep into like the Rambo catalog and Steven Seagal, and so I think I'm picking fringe ones. And you're like, I just watched that last Tuesday. You know, like so.
Well, that's the thing, especially if I'm left home alone or in like traveling. I never go for the obvious pick. You know, it's always something that's like, I watched the original. It's like the Patrick Swayze era, you know, every once in a while you throw on a Point Break or like the original Roadhouse or something. And
right.
I do that pretty frequently.
Right.
But it keeps your mind sharp for trivia, which is really the only thing that's useful for it.
But see, so I know that about you. So I tried to steer away from the well that I know you draw from.
All right. Well, we'll see how we do.
There you go.
I like that when you're home alone, your go-to is like
Steven Seagal
80s
movies.
action movies.
Yeah, that's right.
He wasn't even alive in the 80s or whatever. I mean, he didn't see these as a kid.
Well, I did. Not when
it's
they came
true.
out.
Because your parents didn't monitor what you watched.
Zero. So these really bring me back to
See,
you're a case study for both the need for parental oversight and the need for less parental oversight. You've turned out fine, but how would you be if you weren't exposed to those things? That's the question.
As we discussed with, Derek last week, I was one of these free range kids, didn't have a lot of rails, kind of roam in the streets, and everything worked out just fine. I mean, well, here we are, but, I'm alive.
See, I feel like I had a similar trajectory as Jesse, not as like on the danger side, but my parents didn't monitor what I watched. So I watched a lot of like comedies with my parents because that's what they wanted to watch. And I've rewatched them now as an adult. And there are definitely jokes that I did not get as a kid that I get now that I do think I almost want to ask my parents. I'm like, you're kind of risking it here because there were definitely a lot of jokes that I should not have any context for as a kid. But I do think if I hadn't watched those movies, I would be less funny. So I think that this is a case for let your kids watch what they want and they'll be funny people one day. Yeah. That's my stance.
Well, I have another, I've never pursued this idea. Again, most of my ideas I never pursue. I think about sometimes and I mention them, but I never actually care to put in the time or frankly the effort to make them happen. But I remember one time when I was a kid, I want to say the kid. I'm going to look up. Let me see what year this movie came out before I. Okay, so this movie came out that I'm going to reference when I was 9 years old. Yeah. And I remember, we would be sent to the video store and just run in and grab a movie and check it out, put it on the Blockbuster or, it was like one of the strip mall video rental stores. Me and my buddy rented, and it was something innocuous that we know his parents wouldn't object to. And we got home, we opened the case, and it was Reservoir Dogs. Okay. That movie came out in 1992 as a new release, and somehow it ended up in the case for whatever PG
How old were
movie.
You? 6?
I was 9 when Reservoir Dogs. I was born in 83. So, 92. So it was a new release around 10, 11 years old. And I don't know. It was in the video store, right? So a few months after the theatrical release. And they had slipped it into we were probably watching it. We probably were into some like Sinbad comedy. Those were big at the time. One where he's like a Secret Service agent, first kid.
I love
something
Sinbad.
in that lane.
Loved him.
And we opened up First Kid or whatever, and it was Reservoir Dogs. And it was such a formative evening of film watching for me. It's a Tarantino movie at 9 or 10 years old, and it made me have an idea of like a video store, or now it could just be a streaming service where you turn it on and they don't tell you a movie just starts. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like
that's what Netflix used to do with the shuffle. Like you just you just start playing whatever.
Because like that was the happiest accident ever, just opening the movie case and not knowing what it is, and it was Reservoir Dogs.
I can't believe you at 9 watched what Reservoir Dogs.
It came in the First Kid case, so what was I supposed to do? Not watch it?
How did your friend feel about it? Because you seem like you had a positive experience. What about your friend?
We didn't speak after that. No, I don't know. I think we thought it was awesome. I mean, it was great,
I'm not going to get into this, but I had 2 friends whose parents were like your parents.
Yeah.
But unlike you, my friends were not of high moral character, and they took advantage of said freedom.
Yeah.
And exposed young Cameron to things I should not have been exposed to, and their parents were like fine with it. It was weird. Like,
ours.
I'm talking like weird, like Tales of Death, bum fights type videos and stuff that you would like buy or rent. I don't even know where you would rent stuff like that. And then like my other friend's dad was like a GI or whatever. He was like way older, like than all of our dads. He was like grandpa aged. He totally checked out. Couldn't have cared less about anything. And of course, his son Rob was up to no good. And it was not a good to stay over at his house.
Yeah, but me and my friends weren't into things that sound borderline illegal to possess.
Did you ever hear those videos, like the Faces of Death or whatever, like back in the 80s, 90s, I guess? Did you ever hear about those? And it was like stuff you can find online now, but it was just literally 2 hours of like, it was like almost like NFL Red Zone, where like there was a host and he would like toss to a video, like a real video of somebody dying.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Like freak industrial accidents, which
or
Twitter.
gunfights and just horrible stuff. Yeah. Why are we talking about this? We have a great show.
We do. Well, I hope your movie. Now I'm very nervous about your movie trivia.
I can tell you there's no bum fights or Faces of Death references.
Are there any Sinbad movies?
It's all Sinbad movies. Why did you ruin the game? That was the bit.
It is the entire collection. We're going to go
through. It was 1 through 20. We're just going through.
Wait, what is Sinbad doing these days? Does anyone know?
He got sick with like cancer and stuff.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry.
He had a stand-up special, and again,
the purple leather one.
Yes, that was in heavy rotation for about 3 years between ages 10 and 13.
Oh yeah,
and I saw it. Yeah, I mean, it was like Comedy Central back then was literally the film Airheads with where Adam Sandler and like Brendan Fraser on a grunge and Steve Buscemi on a grunge rock band who take over a rock and roll station to get their music on. It was that movie the Dana Carvey stand-up special, the Choppin' Broccoli, and and that was basically all Comedy Central. Was just those in rotation for about 3 years. So I was very familiar with.
They had that 30 like last comic standing or something like that. Like it was like a 30-minute like brand new kind of emerging comics.
Yeah,
like you didn't heard of none of them, but they had that in rotation too. I can think of.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we'll move the show along. Stay tuned. Up next, it's Slices.
That ain't the flex you think. I own this 100%. Y'all gonna make me repent. I thought I told you close the door on us. We hop in the fence. Hey, don't hype me up. Yeah, don't hype me up. Yeah, don't hype me. God got me. I feel like I'm the one. Yeah, left in 99. I think I won. Yeah, I ain't leaving till I hear well done. Yeah, I'm just saying practice what you preach. Sheesh. Nope, I ain't the Christian version of your favorite rapper. I am me.
You're listening to Marty and Breno. The song is Christian Rapper. It is off his new album, Flop Era Volume 1, which is his solo debut album. Not to be confused with Marty for President, which was more of a solo debut EP a few years ago, which just blew up. Go check it out. Marty hasn't been on for a couple episodes, but it is a great album. Well worth your listen. It's available now wherever you get your music. It just came out last Friday. Again, it's Flop Era Volume 1. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold. All right, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
All right. Well, speaking of streaming cinema, there is a new docuseries coming out on a new streaming platform that's called The Network, which I don't know anything about this streaming platform. It launched in the spring, but I kind of dig their business model. It's ad supported, so it's free. But
so it's
they're
like
not
Tubi.
but they're not going for a volume play. They only release 2 shows at a time and release new episodes like once a week, like comedies on Thursdays and dramas on Tuesdays. Basically, and they kind of are pitching themselves as like more premium than just kind of, like if something is launching on there, hey, you should check it out because these are one of the 2 shows we're doing at a time.
Kind of like HBO back in the day.
Yeah. So I think it's a cool model. And evidently one of the shows, I haven't seen it, The Green Veil. It's John Leguizamo. I think he's the creator and star of it, or he's the executive producer and star. And it's actually nominated for an Emmy. So they're off to a hot start. But they just announced what they have described as part docuseries, part competition show. Here's the premise. It will follow 5 families. Each of these families will be given $50,000 of resources for research. And the goal of the research is they have to present to a panel of like scientists and researchers and theologians the outcome of their research to convince them that the Earth is flat.
Oh,
These
gosh.
the show is called Flat Earthers, and it's a look at 5 families who adamantly believe the Earth is flat. So they're basically saying, we're going to let you put your money where your mouth is, and try. And if one of these families actually do it, convince these scientists that the Earth is flat, they will win a cash prize.
Didn't you explain to me, because I watched a TikTok go viral 6 months ago where a mom and her little, like 8 or 9 year old daughter, like the mom was filming it, asked the daughter, "Hey, how was school today?" And the daughter kind of snickered and said, "Well, science class talked about this ridiculous thing about the Earth is whatever." And then the mom quizzed the daughter on all the talking points of flat Earth theory, that we believe flat Earth theory. And 100% of what she was saying was like quoting scriptures. Well, Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For the 4 corners of the earth."
Yeah.
And so this family took scripture and then tried to find scientific proof that the scripture was literal and the earth is flat when it says 4 corners and etc. And I'm asking you, because I know nothing about this, and this is a world that you live in. Is
Flat
that
Earth world.
in general what flat earthers, or the genesis of, no pun intended, of what flat earthers believe, is that it's scripturally based and then they have scientific evidence? Or do you see the majority of the people coming in just flat scientific theory, and it just so happens to overlap with some religious theory?
It is both. It's both. There are biblical.
I don't know if it's a homeschool thing or if it was a scientific thing. You know what I mean?
It's sort of a weird amalgamation, because you have like the biblical literalist, right? Who basically try to find, it's the opposite of the scientific method, right? They're trying to find evidence to something to affirm their belief. Like they start with they don't start with what does the evidence point to. It's like, here's the point. Can we find evidence to confirm it? Right.
Yeah.
So you do have that sort of like literalist, kind of like generally pretty kind of socially conservative, individuals who that is the whole reason for it, is some sort of like religious conviction. But then you have like people who are, well, one, I think just gullible and things that like push their curiosity. And then I think there's a lot of people who are just conspiratorial, who because this is sort of like the whole premise of it isn't just that the earth is flat, but there's a huge cover up. And if there's a huge cover up, powerful forces must be covering it up. And if powerful forces are covering it up, then what else are they doing? So I think, it kind of brings a lot of worlds together. But that's what I think is interesting about the show. The creator of the streaming platform, he described the show as this: the flat earth phenomenon continues to grow on a global level. Flat Earthers, the show, will provide a fascinating view into the psyche of the human condition and what drives belief systems worldwide. So it's not the premise of the idea of the show isn't to try to prove that the world is flat. It's to say, all right, these people who genuinely believe this, if you gave them money and resources to convince people, could they do it? I don't think they're actually trying. The show isn't trying to make the case that the world is flat. It's trying to provide an interesting sort of little framework to have these people explain themselves, which I think it's a great, interesting idea for a show, personally.
But they're giving the opportunity for flat earthers to explain themselves. But is there anything going to challenge what the flat earthers are trying to explain? Like you're saying, they're going to present their findings, their research, quote unquote research, to credible people. Will those credible people obviously have questions or pushback?
Yeah. So basically, like, I guess at the end, it culminates within each of them. Like, the series will follow over 10 episodes, them compiling their research, conducting experiments. They're going to present the findings of all that to a panel of scientists, theologians, and cartographers. So presumably at that point, when you find out whether they successfully convince this panel of scientists, cartographers, and theologians, if they don't, presumably you'll hear the why that these experts aren't convinced. I mean, they're going to have a really hard time presenting evidence because the world isn't flat and there's no evidence of that. So I don't see how any of them will successfully convince a panel of legitimate experts. So I'm assuming towards the back half of the series, there's going to be quite a bit of pushback, I would presume. But, I'll say this, I'm going to watch. I love original ideas. Like, this is a world I'm fascinated with, not because I'm fascinated with the idea that the world is flat, because it's obviously not, but I'm fascinated that there are people who this is their like conviction. And, it's like as this show creator said, it's like a look into what it takes for otherwise rational people to believe something completely irrational. I think that's interesting.
This sounds like pretty much every TLC reality show. This sounds like Hoarders. This sounds like the plastic surgery addicts. This sounds like, like this wormhole of people who are mentally unwell. And
but the difference is like, I think those, with both of those, there are like examples of legitimate mental illnesses that affect people's decision making when it comes to like hoarding.
You don't think that people who believe in extreme conspiracies have mental unwellness? There's something else. I'm not
saying they're not mentally unwell, but I'm saying there's not mental illness. I think there's kind of I don't think there's like a diagnosable. I mean, there could be like adjacent, like diagnosable schizophrenia or paranoia or something like that. But with like hoarding, there is like,
it's a trauma response of something,
or like body dysmorphia, like legitimate diagnosable mental illnesses 100%. To someone who.
Then sister wives. This is like sister wives.
I do think that is a distinction, because this is people who are willfully convincing themselves of something that isn't true. Anyway, go ahead, Emily.
Well, I was going to say, like, I think what's interesting about this premise, and really with all conspiracies, is like, they're giving them money to essentially market their idea. That's really what they're trying to do, is like, are you good at marketing this product that you're selling, which is that the earth is flat? And like, that's really what the competition is. So like, whether your mental wellness is not really the factor here, it's more of, are you susceptible to marketing, or like, how susceptible are you to marketing, and how good are they at it? And so that's what's going to be interesting. Is I'm curious if people watching the show, not that they'll be convinced that the earth is flat, but I do wonder if it'll kind of open up their minds to other conspiracy theories.
Wait, the people watching?
Yeah. Like, because I can't imagine like the scientists and cartographers they're not going to change their mind. But like the average person who maybe doesn't really know why flat earthers think that, I'm curious if they, like, as they watch the show, I don't.
If it culminates with the experts basically refuting all this crazy theory, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine that the theory or the experimentation will lead to conclusions like if you watch Skinwalker Ranch, they're doing experiments, but the experiments are kind of confirming something's going on here. I don't think any of these experiments are going to confirm flat earth theory. I think it'll be the opposite. I saw a guy on, it was going around probably a month ago on TikTok and YouTube. It was like these guys who are very serious flat earthers, and they concocted this experiment that they knew would prove that the earth is actually flat, not curved. And they set up at a significant distance these two pinhole essentially things, and they're going to shine a light through one. And if the earth was flat, the guy could see it through the other one. And if the earth was curved, they could only see it if they raised the level of the light or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're filming the whole thing unedited to prove it once and for all. We're right. And this, you sheep science following people are wrong. And sure enough, obviously there's curvature to the earth, and like they were debunked by themselves, by their own experiment. I think that's what this show is going to be. It's these people debunking themselves, so.
And I'll watch it either way.
I will too, because that's hilarious. So.
I will say, I feel like I do have to disclose this of myself. So I am technically part of a flat earth group on Facebook, not because I'm a flat earther, but because I just want to see what these people are talking about.
So if you died and we're going through your digital imprint and we're going through your computer, you're saying, if you see me in this group,
I'm there ironically or like anthropologically.
Yeah.
There's no explanation or apology needed there. I mean, it actually makes me, on your deathbed, to think much more of you. That you were an active member.
Will say though, like I still remember this one post from years ago. It was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Someone posted proof that the Earth was flat because they were looking at the horizon on the beach and they had a level. And they just had it up and it showed that it was even. And they were like, guys, obviously the earth is flat.
$50,000 for that kind of evidence. Yeah.
And I think about that often.
You remember that episode of The Office where like IT was coming to put blockers on everything, and Kevin was like, oh no, I need to clear out my browsing history.
Yeah.
That's Emily, but for totally different reasons than Kevin.
Mine are just embarrassing.
Yeah, she's got so many like bugs and malware on her computer from these fringe websites that she's investigating, quote unquote.
Do you have no idea the amount of time I've spent on like Bigfoot subreddits before? Like cryptozoological ones in general. Like I
knew a girl in college who her family hunted Bigfoots, and I had a million. I like interviewed her. I was like, I want to know more about this. So
there's two things I know about that world. One is the rabbit hole is way deeper and stranger than you can imagine, and two, the Bigfoot community is very toxic.
Dude, the Bigfoot community, like we rent a cabin in North Georgia pretty regularly, or you go up to Blue Ridge, Jasper, that area, in the Southern Appalachians. It's the beginning of the Appalachian Trail. That's the area it is. Yeah. And for some reason, in the foothills of the Smokies, there's a Bigfoot museum right there on Highway 535. I have never once heard in my life in the folklore of Bigfoot it appearing in Georgia. I know Pacific Northwest, yes. But why is there a Bigfoot museum in North Georgia? And I'm going to be driving right by it next week. I may have to just pop in.
You should, because there's a variant called the skunk ape that evidently is in Georgia and Florida.
But, little known fact for you.
Okay, so they're drawing us in with the Bigfoot name because that's the brand name. But then when we get in there, we're going to get educated and schooled that in here in these hills, we got skunk apes.
Well, because even that world, again, this could be a whole separate. I mean, there are docu-series they're numerous about Bigfoot, but even that world divides down a really interesting line. One are people who believe, that Bigfoot believers who think it's like an undiscovered North American primate, right? It is an animal that is elusive, but is like other primates, and walks on two feet. We just haven't found one. The other side is the people who intersect, I would say, pretty closely like the Skinwalker Ranch world, that there's something outside of like paranormal happening with Bigfoot, and it's interdimensional or aliens or whatever. That's where that community do not get along. And there's no better fight on the internet to just interject yourself into than a Bigfoot fight.
Bigfoot fights, and Jesse's just in there just poking them, everybody.
Trust me, I spent too much time doing that.
Jesse, hilarious. I feel like you're part of some weird Facebook groups too. It's not just me.
Years ago, Cameron, do you remember a story? We did a thing about MLMs, like multi-level marketing. You
wrote a feature in the magazine.
Yeah. But in order to do that, I had to interview a lot of people involved in the worlds of MLMs, this is serious journalism, right? But in order to do that, I had to ensconce myself in their communities. And so and let me say, you want to talk about another tribal corner of the internet, MLM world, because they don't like each other, and and they don't like people trying to investigate them. And so I had to join these groups, but you had to apply, they're all private, like a lot of the big ones, so you have to get accepted and you got to play your cards right. Yeah. So there's numerous MLM groups that I was a part of that I'm no longer welcome in, but I can affirm I had that.
Oh, that's great. All right. What do you have, Emily?
I was going to recap all the Taylor Swift stuff that happened this weekend, but
thank you for not.
I've decided to spare you. You're welcome. There is something, though, that I do want to hear your thoughts about because I've been talking about it with my friends and we're kind of torn on it. Did you guys hear about the woman who's suing her boyfriend because he didn't take her to the airport when he said he would?
I did. I only saw the headline. I didn't dive deeper into it.
Yeah, it seemed like the entire story was pretty much told in the headline. So I didn't, like Jesse, did not click on it.
But I am curious about what legal grounds she is pursuing here.
So so here's the backstory. So this couple in New Zealand, they've been together for 6.5 years. The woman was supposed to get on a flight last week and go to this concert with her friends. She said she and her boyfriend had a, quote, verbal contract in which he agreed that he was going to pick her up, drop her off at the airport, and then he'd stay home, look after the dogs, while she had fun. They'd done this before, she'd gone on trips before and he'd done this. So, that was kind of the plan that they were going with. Well, the day of, he never came to pick her up. Now, the story doesn't clarify what happened or why he was ghosting his girlfriend of 6.5 years, but he didn't pick her up. And because of that, she missed her flight. So she had to get a new one. She had to pay for like a taxi to the airport, and she had to pay to board her dogs. So she's suing for financial compensation because she had to pay all this extra money to get to the destination.
Right.
I will say New Zealand has already pretty much said like this is going to be a really difficult, like they're kind of telling her like you really shouldn't pursue this because there's not like a legally binding contract here. But she's pushing through, and she said that she's going to try to get any sort of compensation she can.
I'm guessing that they broke up now.
It doesn't say in the story, but they have to, right? You can't.
They have to. You can't be like,
sue someone and be
you can't be like,
I actually.
Here's an update for the lawsuit. You put on the nightstand and you say good night, see you in the morning, and turn off your lights as you roll over in bed. I mean, like, no, you're not suing the person that you're in a relationship with.
But I really like the story because it will hopefully get to the bottom of one of two legal concepts that everyone is like heard of and references, right? But I've never really seen like pursued to the highest level, which this seems like it's going to at least go to some sort of judge or jury. That's the concept of verbal contracts. The other one is citizen's arrest. I've known of these concepts, right? And I've heard people reference them, but I've never seen one actually executed. Like
my only experience with citizen's arrest is the Andy Griffith show where Goober arrested Barney for doing an illegal U-turn in the cop car, but it wasn't an emergency. And and Goober runs out to the middle of the road screaming citizens arrest, and there's a whole thing. That's my only awareness of citizens arrest.
But again, I've known of this concept, this legal idea. And same thing with verbal contracts. Like I've known of this legal idea, but I've never seen anyone actually like, all right, let's do it. Let's see if this works.
In Florida, it's real. To be lawful in Florida, citizen's arrest hinges on individuals having reasonable grounds to believe that a crime has occurred and that the person being detained is the perpetrator. Any use of force during such an arrest must be proportionate to the circumstances, intended solely to prevent imminent harm or escape. So you can absolutely.
That seems like a massive gray area right there. I mean,
I'm shocked there's not more citizens arrests in Florida specifically.
Yeah. No, we're cool. We're not gonna.
You're not narcs. Okay.
No, we're not narcs. Yeah.
Now that's cool. A great reality show. Citizens arrest. Each episode.
It's like Cops, but it's just rednecks.
It's a Cops spin-off show.
Self-deputized, people waiting outside of, waiting in front of stoplights and, any place that they can catch somebody. I'd watch that as well. The network. This is Follow Up Flat Earthers were citizens arrest.
Honestly, that could work. And then they have to convince the judge why their citizens arrest was lawful.
And why it was proportionate. Yeah.
Proportionate. Yeah. I like it.
Again, I'd watch that.
Anyway, what was your slice, Emily?
Oh, well, I mean, it was that. But my friends and I, we've been debating this because half of us, I texted this to my friends because I was like, I just thought it was a crazy story. Half of us agree that the woman was is just kind of being irrational here. But I did have two friends who were like, no, she should sue and she should get financial compensation. And so I just think it's funny that we're torn in it. And I'd love to, I'm just curious what y'all's thoughts are. If you think she should sue or not.
I say let the judge, this is the American legal system, but
we're not the judge and jury here. Let the judge and jury be the judge and jury.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the legal system is established for conundrums such as this. So I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I can tell you. It seems like it's gonna be hard to win, but I'm not against her doing it.
Yeah, but don't the judges in New Zealand wear the white Renaissance wigs and stuff still? I don't know. Their
legal in the story I was reading, though, their legal system, obviously they use different legal terms, but because they kept referring to it as a tribunal, and I just kept thinking of Survivor.
I picture some sort of war crimes commission.
Yeah.
At the end, if you lose your case, you have to put out your flame.
You're ejected from New Zealand, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Where else are you going to go?
Well, you send all the criminals to Australia. That's how they started. Right?
Yeah. Got it.
Anyway. All right. Well, that'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com where we're covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. These things would fall into the everything in between category of that tagline.
As most things do. Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned. Up next, Alexander Pappas joins us. You're listening to Nemesis. The song is You Are Better.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Well, our guest today is Alexander Pappas. He's a worship leader you probably know from Hillsong Young and Free. And these days, he's venturing out on his own with some new solo music. But before we talk to him about the new music, Alexander opened up about how he's been handling the difficult transition from Hillsong over the last few years, and why he's still excited about the future of the church. It's an honest and raw conversation about processing church hurt. We're excited for you to hear. So here's our conversation with worship leader Alexander Pappas.
So over the last 2 years, you've gone through some big transitions, going from Hillsong Young and Free to releasing solo music. You even moved back to the States. Can you walk me through that transition? Like, what has this season been like for you?
Yeah, you can. It was a personally, relationally massive transitional year of personal, kind of the worst sort of stuff that I could imagine. Losing loved ones. A number of my family actually died in elderly folks. My grandma and an uncle and an aunt died within 2 months of each other. And it's no secret that Hillsong went through a bit of an upheaval, sort of all at once. And so reestablishing relationships, reestablishing church dynamics, even reestablishing trust, reestablishing all those things. It was kind of like candidly and everything, everywhere, all at once.
Holy Spirit, move in power, signs and wonders we proclaim.
That is a lot of change. And I know you're still with Hillsong, just in a different way. Can I ask, how did you come to that decision to stay?
So Hillsong Church, Los Angeles is my home church. I come down to there are three important fundamental things when I was kind of making the decision to stay. And obviously there is, first and foremost there was correction of infrastructure that needed doing, which from my perspective, what I needed to see happened. And then there are three things that are important to me as a local church. And one is the teaching and doctrine sound. Secondly, is it a community that will challenge you? Do you allow yourself to be challenged and encouraged? And then thirdly are the people there that you want to get lunch with after church? And 1 and 2, I feel like you can find a lot of places, not everywhere, but you can find 1 and 2 if you look hard enough and you allow yourself to be there. You can find it, but honestly, 3 is hard to find. And through a lot of prayer, a lot of forgiveness that I had to find in my heart for some hurt, and dealing with that, the decision that I landed on was that I felt God telling me to stay. And until He says otherwise, I'm trusting in that voice and kind of choosing in Los Angeles, especially, to insert myself into a connect group. It's actually like truly plant myself there. I think anyone will admit, you'll often feel when we stay on the fringe in church life, when we just kind of are passive attendees, you're like, oh, it's tough, I'm not finding it there. But when we choose to, insert ourselves into community, when we actively search for it, I think there's amazing fruit that comes from all that.
Yeah, it sounds like that was a pretty difficult process to figure out. And unfortunately, I think it's a process a lot of people have gone through.
Thank you. Yeah, I even for anyone listening that is in that season, I think a really pivotal thing to note in that is, I don't think in something like that, in transitional, in disappointments that come from a local church, you don't have to stay. I think a lot of people stay when they should go. I think bring it to prayerful consideration and discover your ability to forgive past wrongs. If you've ever been in a relationship with someone that cannot forgive, truly forgive, because if the next time something goes wrong and they bring up everything of the past, that's not forgiveness, and it's a whole mess of trauma and disappointment and anger. Whereas if you can truly find forgiveness, which for me, it didn't happen overnight. It was, okay, I'm going through stages of grief with change, with disappointment, and I arrived at a place that I could forgive. I arrived at a place that I could forgive and therefore trust, and therefore invest into relationships, into mission and vision. And so for me, I came to that place, but that is a journey that I think everybody should do, hopefully with good community, with good counsel. I didn't do that journey alone. But yeah, there are a lot of people of my close friends who have left, and I don't think that was the wrong answer for them to go. I arrived at a place that I felt a yes to stay.
throughout this change that you've been going through, you've continued to be a worship leader. So I'd just love to know, like, how has this transition impacted your career, or more specifically your music? Like, are there any songs that have sort of come out of this season?
Totally. So I would say April 2023, it was, or maybe a little bit before, but was sort of, everything was in flux. There was not really a single aspect of my life that, if you would have asked me a couple years before, like, what will be the absolutes, I could have listed, outside of Jesus, a couple things. I was like, well, this will be what my life will look like. And those things were displaced. And, when I started as a solo artist, on top of what I was doing with Hillsong was the idea, and it was to write songs I called Monday music, songs that you weren't meant to sing in church, songs that were for your Monday, to encourage you, to speak to your situations that you were in, and leave ministry for my ministry outlet for what I did with Hillsong. And kind of sitting there in April 2023, I watched the Jesus Revolution movie. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but there was this really poignant scene where the character playing Lonnie Frisbee and Greg Laurie are having this come to Jesus moment of, and this isn't a direct quote, but the hippies are looking everywhere for God in all the wrong places, or they just don't know it. And I was so stirred in that moment. And I'm sure if I watched this 5 years ago, I maybe would have felt or thought the same thing. But there was a level of watching friends leaving church, watching the state of the world, not pointed at anything, just my observation of the world. And I just felt in my spirit in that moment that what happened then, this sort of pivotal crux of a moment of people looking for answers and a church that needed to find a way to reach them. And there was a beautiful intersection of adjustment and faith. And I felt that was like now. And I felt in my spirit that God, I was like, I feel like you are about to do something significant on the earth. And I'm reminded of, I think any good person that grew up in church, if they think about God, they might think about Aslan. They might think about Chronicles of Narnia. And where it talks about he doesn't work the same way twice. It'll look differently the next time. And so I sort of said this prayer. I was just like, God, I feel like you're about to do something, and I don't know what a songwriter and a worship leader plays in a great move of God, but you have my yes. And so it was a year filled with seeking the presence of God, wanting to write songs that would speak to and impact what I pray will be a great move of God, that we'll look back on history in a similar way to the way we look back on a Jesus revolution. And we would see a move of God. And so it was funny for me 12 months later that this song was coming out, A Great Awakening. And it was like, man, I prayed this prayer like exactly 12 months ago. And not knowing the day I started writing that song, which there was a number of, Jerichos that I was facing just to write something like that, using words like revival, using words like miracles that feel potentially overused and fatigued in certain songwriting spaces. But there were moments as I was writing that song with a dear friend of mine that, I kind of felt like the Lord being like, well, this is a Jericho moment for you. You are facing doubt, that you've sung about revival, you've sung about awakening, and you haven't seen it. And so you can either turn back or you can believe and say something silly or do something silly like walk around a city for days and then shout and hope that wall is going to fall down. And so really, like, in a sense, this song is a prayer that I pray would, as it did for me, stir faith and conviction to believe that we would see miracles, salvations, and ultimately, however it might look, revival.
That was Alexander Pappas. Make sure to go check out his new singles. His latest one is called A Great Awakening. You can get it wherever you get your music. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's the Summer Blockbuster Showdown. You're listening to Eisenach. The song is Don't You Ever Give Me Up. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. All right, it is time for
Summer Blockbuster Showdown.
the Summer Blockbuster Showdown. Summer Blockbuster Showdown. It's time for our Summer Blockbuster movies. Are there any big ones coming out this summer? I'm trying to think.
Inside Out 2?
Yeah, that's
that's enormous.
the big one of the moment.
Yeah. How did Bad Boys do? I was curious.
It did really
Not
well.
as good as Inside Out 2.
No, but
nothing
I mean, I think comparable to budget, I think it did really well.
So it feels like our normal flow of summer blockbusters has come back, post-COVID. Everything got weird, so that's good.
Yeah. I think Barbenheimer really, they kind of helped. That was sort of the canary in the coal mine. It was possible once again.
I wish we had a Barbenheimer every summer, though, because that really was fun. I don't know.
See, I didn't participate. I saw Oppenheimer on Peacock about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should have seen it in the theaters while you're walking through a bunch of people dressed in pink as they're going to see Barbie.
I did go see Barbie. You know this, but I fell asleep 10 minutes in and don't remember any of it.
So you didn't actually see it. You got to stop.
But I went because I wanted to participate. I wanted to be part of the moment, and then I fell asleep.
You paid $20 to take a nap in a theater.
Hey, I was tired. I found out once I got in the theater. I didn't know. Anyway, all right. So the game is I'm going to read a synopsis of a real big movie, big movie. This is not obscure stuff. These are hits. And I'm going to see if you guys can tell me the actual name of the movie I'm describing. All right, Emily, you're up first. Here we go. A guy with a flair for the dramatic starts a circus, gathers a bunch of unique individuals, and sings a lot while doing it.
Oh, The Greatest Showman.
That is correct.
Zac Efron's in it. Of course I saw it.
Jesse, did you?
No, I don't watch musicals.
I should have given Jesse that one. All right. Jesse, a king with a cool cat suit tries to keep his kingdom secret while dealing with a long-lost cousin who really wants to redecorate.
Well, there's a lot happening in this film. A king with a cat suit.
If he doesn't get it, can I guess?
A long lost cousin. I can't even venture a guess here. This is I'm shocked by this premise, frankly.
Emily.
Is it The Lion King?
No, it's Black Panther.
All
right.
That's pretty good.
All right, Emily, a famous musician discovers a talented singer. They fall in love, and then things get really complicated because, well, fame and feelings.
Star is Born?
Yes. Emily.
Yeah, I've seen a movie or two.
Yeah,
All
apparently.
right, here we go.
Jesse, a big purple guy goes on a scavenger hunt for some colorful rocks while a bunch of superheroes try to stop him and fail spectacularly.
No, that would be that would be not Endgame. That would be the one prior, Avengers: Infinity War.
Correct. You got it. All right. All right, Emily, a boy accidentally ends up in the land of the dead and has to get his great-great-grandfather's blessing to return to the living world, all while learning the importance of family.
Coco.
That's right. I'm surprised you've seen Coco. All right.
Oh, I used to nanny for kids, so I've seen all the Disney movies.
Got it. Okay. Jesse, an Amazonian princess leaves her idyllic island to stop a war and discovers that the outside world is much more complicated than she thought.
That would be Wonder Woman.
That is Wonder Woman. Did you see Wonder Woman? I didn't.
I saw it on an airplane.
I cried in Wonder Woman.
Emily, score update. Emily is up 3-2. Here we go. Emily, in a post-apocalyptic desert, a guy with a lot of baggage helps a woman with a war rig full of escapees in a high-speed chase for freedom.
Is that Mad Max Fury Road?
That is Mad Max Fury Road.
I never saw it, but I saw the trailer, or half the trailer, I think.
I mean, there's not a lot of plot. Cameron basically explained the whole movie. It's one long chase.
Spoiler alert.
Wait, is it really? I never saw it. It's just that footage that I've seen of the kind of desert car race.
The entirety of the movie. Yeah.
What? In 2 hours going full speed, nobody runs out of gas?
And there's a whole gas subplot. It's the whole construct of the movie is just one awesome long, scene basically.
Pass.
Jesse, a cocky surgeon loses his hands but gains some serious magical skills and a snazzy cape while trying to save the world from interdimensional threats.
That would be Doctor Strange, of course.
That would be Doctor Strange, of course.
Wait, Jesse, are you a Marvel fan?
I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm aware of them. You know what I mean? Okay. I'll watch them here and there.
Sure.
All right, Emily, here we go. Now this is maybe there might be some. I'm just giving you a heads up. There might be some indie films in the mix here. A mischievous girl living in a budget motel near Disney World spends her summer getting into trouble while her mom struggles to make ends meet.
The Florida Project.
The Florida Project. Yeah. Good job.
I love that movie. It's so depressing, but it's
it really is.
Next time you're in town, I'll take you down there. You can see the film or the motel.
I think I might cry if I see that motel.
I'm telling you, Highway 192 in Kissimmee is the most depressing stretch of land anywhere.
I believe, after seeing that movie, I believe it.
It really is like this old 1960s tourist corridor that just died, and now it's sad. Anyway, okay, Jesse, a New York jeweler with a gambling addiction makes a series of increasingly bad decisions, all while talking very fast.
Oh, that is Uncut Gems.
That is Uncut Gems. Good job, y'all.
Fantastic film.
Emily, a teenage girl rebels against her mom, school, and Sacramento while trying to figure out where she fits in the world and what to call herself.
Oh, Lady Bird.
That is Lady Bird. Jesse, a programmer visits a reclusive tech genius who introduces him to a very lifelike robot with a penchant for asking deep questions.
That would be Ex Machina.
Yes. How? Okay. Anyway. Okay, Emily, this will be the last round. Okay, you're currently up 1. So, but this last round, we're 3 points. Anyone's good.
When you do this.
Good.
Here we go. An actor best known for playing a superhero tries to stage a serious Broadway play while dealing with his inner voices in a pesky bird costume.
I steal.
No. Wait, okay, say it one more time.
An actor best known for playing a superhero tries to stage a serious Broadway play while dealing with his inner voices in a pesky bird costume. Can I steal?
Hang on. Oh, is this the Birdman?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
with Michael Keaton.
I never saw that movie. Is that what that movie's about?
Yeah,
It's really good.
yeah, it's fantastic.
It looked really weird. So I never saw
Jesse,
it.
just for kicks and giggles, a Polynesian girl with a calling for the ocean sets sail with a demigod to save her island from a serious case of bad landscaping.
If this
Can I steal?
If this isn't Moana, I would be shocked.
It is
if there's
Moana.
another
It is
movie that
Moana.
shares
All
this
right.
plot.
Good job, y'all. Well, that'll do it for the debut edition of
Summer Blockbuster Showdown.
You need to go deeper cuts next time, apparently.
Well, I was keeping it summer blockbusters, you
Yeah.
know, so maybe next time we need to go a little more fringe.
Yeah.
You almost had me with the Ladybird until you said Sacramento, because like what you were describing, I was like, okay, so every coming of age indie film that's ever existed.
Yeah.
But then you said Sacramento, so I was like, okay, I think I can guess this one.
I was going to put a curveball in there. I was going to put this one. A career-focused big city woman reluctantly returns to her small hometown for the holidays, where she unexpectedly reunites with her high school sweetheart, a charming and rugged local guy. Amidst festive decorations and community events, she discovers the true meaning of love and family, ultimately deciding to leave her stressful city life behind for a simpler, happier one with her new old flame.
That is every Hallmark Christmas film.
Jesse, I literally wrote every Hallmark movie ever. That was the name of...
Some stressed out, sassy ad exec from Madison Avenue goes home to the family Christmas tree farm to meet
There is
the
one
new
called
boy in
Christmas
town.
Inheritance on Netflix, that's the exact plot.
Yeah.
You know what's
and
funny
they're
is
all that exact plot.
I was in ChatGPT and I told it to write a 2 to 3 sentence synopsis of every Hallmark movie ever. Except it took it literally and it started writing a synopsis of every Hallmark movie ever. Like it was like literally like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, no, I don't want an actual library of Hallmark with synopses. I was like, I just need a generic one. Anyway. Well, before we wrap up, I want to thank Alexander Pappas for joining us today. Make sure to go check out his new singles wherever you get your music and keep an eye out for his debut album coming out this year. Hey, if you like this show and you want to support, but you don't like the commercials, sign up for Relevant Plus. With Relevant Plus, you get this podcast ad-free. You also get unlimited ad-free reading at relevantmagazine.com. You get our beautifully designed, enhanced digital magazine, and more. Plans start as low as $250 a month, and we'd love the support. It's the best way to experience our content. Go check it out. All the info is at relevantmagazine.com. Okay, on that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
There's no better fight on the internet to just interject yourself into than a Bigfoot fight.
Relevant Podcast Network.